Part 84. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 831. Where are you from? When Wuhan asked this question, Ye Bai fell into silence. He wasn't hiding the truth, but he was a little confused. I don't know the truth, Ye Bai said frankly. Even if I have some conjectures, I can't say it here. This matter will have to wait until I become the most powerful person, or I will finish what I am doing and ask third brother. Ye Bai didn't mean to be the riddler. He didn't even know the answer to the riddle, so how could he be the riddler? There must be something wrong with my own time travel. But Ye Bai still has no idea what the problem is. Things must be settled step by step, and the road must be walked step by step. After Wuhan finished speaking, he continued to wipe his heavy armor. Ye Bai was sitting outside the river of time, talking to Wuhan without a word. He knew that his second brother couldn't hear him when he said these things. The real second brother is still wandering in the upper world and refuses to come back. However, Ye Bai felt that chatting like this was not bad. He chatted about the current situation of Lan Bangxian and Huo Tianwang, and praised Menzi for his good swordsmanship and that he was only a little short of enlightenment. After finishing talking about all the new things around him, Ye Bai started talking about the most powerful demon god again. However, Ye Bai just mentioned these trivial matters. He patted his chest and said, "It's okay, I am the strongest now and will not embarrass us." Ye Bai said this very proudly. The four of us, the strongest humans, are really awesome. The white-haired swordsman just sat there, wiping his heavy armor. He cannot hear it, it is just a scene that exists in the long river of time, nothing more. After going around in a big circle, Ye Bai finally returned to the topic. No matter what is behind the scenes, whether it is fate, the upper world, or this world. Ye Bai stopped for the next words. He didn't say anything harsh. Because Ye Bai doesn't have this habit. He preferred the whole hard life. Even in the upper realm, Ye Bai dared to kill and fight once. Being an enemy of the world belongs to yes. However, Ye Bai wasn't too worried. He was relieved. I have thought about it. I will try my best to do whatever I have to do and do it well. If I fail to do it. Ye Bai twitched the corner of his mouth and said calmly. Only death. What's there to fear? After truly reaching the peak, Ye Bai was no longer afraid of death. He used to be afraid of death because his responsibilities were too heavy and his stakes were too high. If Ye Bai dies, the efforts and sacrifices of previous generations of the strongest will have been wasted. Therefore, Ye Bai cannot die. But now, only the top beings can threaten Ye Bai. If Ye Bai died in battle, he believed that his death would be valuable. This is enough. Although he is only in his 20s. However, Ye Bai didn't seem surprised that he had such a state of mind. It seemed like he was making money every day he lived. Maybe it was the last moment that saved the world that had an impact on Ye Bai's mentality. In any case, Ye Bai today is completely different from Ye Bai 3 years ago. Reborn belongs to yes. It's almost time to talk. Ye Bai stood up and saluted first to his second brother and then to Baiju. Anyway, the human race has me, brother, you don't have to worry, just do whatever you want. After speaking, Ye Bai asked Baiju to send him back. Baiju glanced at him, kicked his hind hooves, and the scenery around Ye Bai began to speed up, returning to reality. But this time, Baiju did not leave with Ye Bai, but stayed where he was. Baiju snorted and said disdainfully. Boring. Goo goo goo. A pigeon flew out of the heavy armor, landed on the back of the white horse, and hooked up with the white horse. It's all pigeons. At the same time, the white-haired swordsman stood up. His silver hair turned back to black, the sword energy in his whole body surged, and he walked out of the river of time at will. Wuhan stretched and said lazily. This kid has made some progress. What Yebai saw before was not a historical scene. But, Wilhelm's real body is hidden in the long river of time, talking to Yebai through the air. As for the reason for doing this, can you create a wise character who is a prophet without a trace? Ahem. The only reason Wilhelm did this was because he could do it. So I did it? Baiju suddenly asked. How close is the outcome between you and Shura? Hard to say. Wilhelm thought carefully. Competing at the same level, I can only have a 99.99% winning rate. Baiju. What about the battle of life and death? Hearing this question, Wilhelm smiled. Who in this life is worthy of discussing life and death with me? A battle of life and death? Non-existent. In the same realm, the one who survives must be Wilhelm. A higher realm? Wilhelm is absolutely sure that one will be exchanged for one. It's that simple. After saying goodbye to Baiju, Yebai returned to reality. Baigo was about to say something, but was interrupted by Yebai. Do not talk. After leaving Time Changhe, Yebai took a few deep breaths and calmed down. Baigo was a little confused. Aren't you just going to chat with Wilhelm? Is it necessary to be so nervous? It's not like we haven't talked about it before. Soon, Yebai regained his composure. He let out a long breath of relief. In the long river of time just now, it is not the scene of the past. Yebai felt helpless and sighed. It's the second brother's true form. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 832. The real body of the second brother is in the long river of time. Yebai didn't know why the second brother did this. But since the second brother has done this, let him go. After such a long time, Yebai felt a little relieved to see that his second brother was still alive and well. People safe is good. It doesn't matter if Wilhelm doesn't want to come back for the time being. On the one hand, as Wilhelm said, there is no one in the upper world who can fight, and there is no one in this world who can fight. Why come back? Is chopping leaves a waste of time? On the other hand, Wilhelm now cannot return to his own world. The most powerful demon god is already in a hurry. Xiaoao, who was seriously injured, guarded the abyss of the strongest. Yebai, who has clearly seen that line, can become the strongest at any time. There is also Xueju, who is recovering slowly and who knows when he will be resurrected. Once Wu Trace returns, the final battle will begin. The most powerful demon will fight back desperately, trying to kill any one of Xiaoao, Wilhelm, and Yebai, destroy the Eternal Tower, and destroy the world. If the most powerful demon god really did this, it would be equivalent to giving himself a suspended death sentence. The counterattack of others and the subsequent offensive were beyond his ability to bear. But if you don't do this, the most powerful demon will die. Once Wilhelm, Nightmare, and Shura join forces. That's not a problem that the three of us are too powerful. Therefore, the most powerful demon god is very anxious. Yebai, I know you are in a hurry, but don't be in a hurry. If Wilhelm doesn't come back, the most powerful demon can still see a glimmer of hope and won't drag everyone to destruction. The human race is fighting, and so is the powerful demon. As for the question raised by Wilhelm, Yebai has no answer for the time being. But he knew who to ask. This matter is probably related to the third brother. However, Yebai didn't know whether that answer was the answer he wanted. Let's take a step and see. Yebai quickly put the matter aside and didn't think much about it. Over the years, he has learned a truth: even if you worry about things beyond your ability, it is useless. Right now, Yebai's most important thing is to calm down the turmoil in the Eternal Tower and return things to their original state. On the 50th floor, an eternal core crystal appeared in front of Ying Ai. She was unusually nervous. It's about to begin. Don't be nervous, the probability of success is very high. Yabai was actually very calm. I've checked it for you and the success rate is over 15%. Shadow 1? 15%? You call this thing a high probability of success? Are you still the same Shura you were back then? I still prefer the wretched and developed version of you, please restore it, thank you. Yabai smiled and said nothing more. With him, even if the success rate is only 1%, it will be successful. This is what the most powerful ones use. Moreover, even if it really fails, it is Yingyi who suffers the loss. What does it have to do with Yabai? As expected of you. Joking aside, the whole thing went very smoothly. Yingyi initially entered the shadow of the eternal core crystal, and then the original tower spirit gradually gave up control of the tower. Yingyi took control of the eternal core crystal little by little. At the moment when the tower spirit was replaced, the eternal tower began to shake crazily, and the black shadow in the eternal core crystal also began to be affected. The most powerful demon god is causing trouble again. This is where things tend to go wrong the most. Yabai frowned slightly and tapped his feet lightly. Rumble. A terrifying thunder and lightning fell from the sky, struck on the eternal tower, broke through the barrier, and struck directly on the supreme abyss. The entire abyss was instantly filled with thunder and lightning. Calm down. A young man's cold voice came from the sky above the abyss. Don't deserve a beating. The entire supreme abyss began to go berserk, countless demonic energies rolled around, and the supreme demon god was once again controlled by an emotion called anger. The more impatient he is, the more easily he becomes emotional and the more likely he is to make mistakes. The humiliating experience over the past 100 years has made the most powerful demon god even more crazy. Damn it, the nightmare threatened him, but he endured it. Wilhen came with a sword, and he endured it. Carefree, he continues to endure. Why is it that even when Shura is here, the most powerful demon still endures? When Shura didn't come, the most powerful demon was being beaten. After Shura arrived, the most powerful demon was still being beaten. Then Shura didn't come in vain. I can't bear it anymore. The most powerful demon is ready to teach Shura a lesson. He can still do things of this level. As for whether Shura will become stronger in the battle, it is no longer something that he needs to consider. Shura will become stronger sooner or later. Shura, who had unleashed his final power to save the world, felt the anger of the most powerful demon. Not only was I not scared, I even felt like laughing. Do you have the ability to kill me? A war is about to break out. The butterfly on Yabai's shoulder flapped its wings slightly, as if it felt something. After the lightning strike, the Taoist stone sculpture became somewhat loose. The Taoist opened his eyes and took a look at the turbid world, which was still boring. He spoke coldly. Pure. The world is pure. The most powerful demon god is no longer angry, and gathers the demonic energy little by little, accumulating strength and waiting for the next counterattack. Yabai. Third brother, you make me lose face like this, you know. Let's discuss it next time and let's just pretend for once. The Taoist slowly closed his eyes and said two words casually. In the sky above the supreme abyss, only these two words echoed. Boring. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 833. The replacement of the tower spirit passed without any danger. Yingyi took a long breath and sighed. Fortunately, Xiaoao took action. Yabai was thinking about another question. Is there a possibility that even if the third brother doesn't take action, I can solve this trouble? Ah, yes, yes. Yingyi kept nodding, extremely perfunctory. Her heart was, impossible, absolutely impossible. Yabai. This most powerful person in the human race really has no reputation at all. Fortunately, Ye Bai has become accustomed to a life without arrogance. Now that the matter on the 50th floor was settled, Ye Bai continued to break through the level without stopping. 51 level. He killed a monster with one sword and snatched it back from the hands of the most powerful demon in an instant. 52 floors. Ye Bai abandoned his sword and used his bare hands to hammer a powerful man to death. The strongest? That's it? That's it? He doesn't even need to use skills. Ye Bai's current greed, the source of disaster, is of a higher level than imagined. Cooperate with White Dog and face the strongest men from other tribes, and there will be no suspense about the outcome of the battle. Other powerful people also have something to say. What opponents did they fight before? A strong man of the same level doesn't have fragments of eternal origin, he doesn't have the mark of the strongest, he doesn't have anything. Now let them fight Shura. Can they do it? You don't have the ability to know it. Next level. Ye Bai's heart was surging, and for the first time he felt the happiness of being the most powerful person. In the past, Ye Bai always felt very happy when he watched Wuhan fight against all the invincible players in the world. Only today did Ye Bai understand that the happiness of the strongest is beyond your imagination. It feels good to torture food for a while, and it feels good to torture food all the time. Among the strongest human beings, only Ye Bai can find pleasure in torturing vegetables. Ye Bai just said directly, I want to hit the 10th level. Of course, during the battle, Ye Bai was also trying to improve his combat power. At his level, it is already difficult to improve. A strong man of the same level who wants to create difficulties for Ye Bai is not worthy of being a stepping stone. Soon, Ye Bai completely cleared the 50th to 60th floors. At the same time, the human race also sent strong men to settle in and take charge of guarding. With the help of the tower spirit, human genius seeds also began to pour into the tower and began to improve their strength. They originally belonged to the genius seeds of the most powerful era, and they could soar into the sky and become a blockbuster. But, due to the situation in the Eternal Tower, it has been unable to upgrade, which has been delayed for so many years. But that's okay. Back, everything is back. Even if the top human race officials didn't announce the news, people could tacitly guess it. Shura, who has been in seclusion for many years, is out of seclusion. Now, all floors 50 to 60 have been cleared, and more floors will be unlocked. They may need to worry more about whether their promotion speed can catch up with Shura. It's hard. Of course, Ye Bai doesn't need to worry about these things now. He is the strongest person in the human race and the freest one in the human race. Just don't seek death. However, with Xiao around, Ye Bai seemed unable to commit suicide. After breaking through the level, Ye Bai returned to the 99th floor and took a nap. To put it bluntly, sleeping on the 99th floor feels safer. After waking up, Ye Bai went out for a trip. He did not forget to urge De Menzi to master the sword, and told him that he had told his second brother that Xuemeng was only a little closer to mastering the sword. Xuemeng? A little bit? You're talking about 100 million points. Xuemeng was about to cry but had no tears, so he could only continue to meditate on the sword. But no matter how he realized it, Xuemeng seemed unable to break through the last layer of obstruction. Ye Bai sighed, without being sarcastic or saying anything more. Tired, destroy it? Huoda bumped the apple with his head, threw it up, and then dropped it into his mouth. He ate it up 3 times. Rubbing his face on the towel, Huoda yawned and asked. Ye Bai simply threw more than half of the apple in his hand. You are not particular at all. Huoda has seen stronger ones. Before Ye Bai could reply, the cold voice of a certain swordsman came from the other side of the wall. Huoda sneered and said nothing. No, no. His eyes had long since stopped focusing on people like Huo Tianyi. You can't even defeat Huo Tianyi, right? After finishing his work, Ye Bai came to the nursing home to see the former Huo Tianwang and Lan Bangxian. Even if you want to live like this, there's no need for it, right? I said I'm better than that paralytic, do you believe me? The previous Huo Tianyi would never have done such a shameful thing. Ye Bai had met Huo Tianyi once before. He was a bit decadent and even worked under Su Zhanshen, whom he had always looked down on. He. So what happened? Ye Bai said while peeling the apple. You fart. In other words, this matter was inherently self-humiliating and self-defeating. The cabin was quiet for a moment. Ye Bai said helplessly. Huo De suddenly spoke, breaking the silence. What are you talking to that boy about? Huo De corrected him seriously, I washed my feet 2 days ago. As he spoke, Ye Bai peeled off a piece of apple and handed it to Huo De opposite him. Ye Bai. Huo De took the apple slices with his feet, gently exerted force with his 2 toes, and threw them into his mouth. Drop as much as you like. This is a mental disorder. He has learned too many sword moves, and the sword moves are too strong. The more he knows, the harder it will be to gain enlightenment. Stop talking, the smell is getting worse. Ye Bai asked back. You don't mind being dirty, either. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 834. Facing the 2 centenarians arguing like children, Ye Bai rolled his eyes silently. Childish. Ye Bai felt that as the strongest human being, he must come up with a mature solution. Can you stop being so childish and be more mature like me? Ye Bai cleared his throat and asked seriously. How about you two have a fight? Huo De? Lan Bangxian? Is this your maturity? A warm breeze blew from the window. Very slow and warm. A wisp of sword intent came in the wind. Huo Da's pupils shrank, his eyes became a little solemn, but he soon became relieved, and a disdainful smile formed on the corner of his mouth. Waste is waste. Hearing the familiar Huo's quotations, Ye Bai felt much more comfortable. Lao Huo's throat hurts if he doesn't curse for a day. Facing this sword intent, Huo De did a very simple thing. He farted. Bulletin. The sword intent was shattered. The sound of clashing swords echoed in the air, and it could not subside for a long time. Ye Bai covered his nose, feeling helpless. You are such a big man, and you still poop and pee like this all day long, it is not embarrassing. Huo De has not forgotten his original intention and belongs to Yes. In any case, this round of confrontation was just a trial between the 2 sides, with no winner or loser. Ye Bai looked at the time and said seriously. I have an appointment and I have some business to do, so I'll leave first. Before leaving, Ye Bai did not forget to tell him. You two, be good and don't fight while I'm away. In this regard, the 2 people's reactions were surprisingly consistent. Roll. In the midst of laughter, Shura, the strongest human race, left the sanatorium. The sanatorium fell into silence once again. I don't know how long has passed. Lan Bangxian was a little curious and asked. You started practicing swordsmanship again. At that time, King Huo Tian vowed to be the best in the world. He first practiced swordplay, and then was beaten by Xueju. At this time, Huo De has not given up sword practice. After all, it is not shameful to lose to Xueju. Then he was beaten by Lan Bangxian again. Can Huo De endure this? From now on, the sword is no longer used. Huo De started learning swordsmanship and soon made rapid progress, becoming as powerful as his own swordsmanship. Then, Yingju stood up and executed justice, beating Huo De up. Huo De abandoned his sword and learned boxing instead. This is how the legend of King Huo, the most powerful god of war in the human race, came to be. After resisting the gate of eternity, Huo Da's arms were disabled. Even so, if he wants to regain his boxing skills and reach heaven, it won't be difficult. But Huo Da's character is as smelly and hard as the stones in the latrine. Having walked the road once, he didn't bother to walk it again. Huo Da picked up the sword technique, and it was obvious that he was competing with a certain Yingju in the coffin. He wanted to see if his sword skills could reach the sky. Faced with the question of Lan banishing the immortal, Huo Da politely returned. None of your business. After leaving the nursing home, Ye Bai did not go to the Eternal Tower immediately. With his current strength, if he wanted to break into the tower all day long, there would be no restrictions at all. Do you understand the value of the most powerful person in the human race? Ye Bai was not in a hurry to do this, because the Eternal Tower did not have many secrets for him. He went to the abyss. In the first abyss, Ye Bai found a group of people. He had never seen these people before, but the sword intent on them looked very familiar. The 9 ninth level war gods, the leaders among the adjudicators, are also the most important group of top combat forces in the human race. 9 swordsmen, all dressed in white, were sitting on the ground, with a sword beside them. The first abyss is the last place Wuhan stayed. They are here to guard the abyss and wait for Wuhan's return. The leading swordsman could not feel Ye Bai's arrival at all. Even if Ye Bai was standing in front of him, in his perception, there was nothing there. According to the words of the top human race officials, the extremely unruly swordsmen stood up one by one. They just glanced at Ye Bai and stood up to leave without saying anything else. From beginning to end, neither party even said a word. It is more than words. Ye Bai's method of convincing these swordsmen was very simple, he didn't even convince them with reason. With just one look, the other party would know what Ye Bai had done. The last moment of salvation. Regardless of how Ye Bai learned this sword, the courage and determination to wield this sword are enough for the judge. It's boring. Ye Bai looked at the empty first abyss, feeling a little bored. He also thought that the other party would resist symbolically. Then he swung his sword lightly. All the strong men took a deep breath. This boy was so terrifying. Brother, can you read less online articles? In any case, the matter of the adjudicator was settled so easily. Ye Bai spent the next time doing the same thing. Torture the food in the Eternal Tower and let the strong human beings guard the newly conquered floors. Stack a buff for the child and go talk to the third brother. On this day, sitting on the 99th floor, watching the clouds rolling and relaxing in the sky, Ye Bai felt a little tired. Being addicted to food abuse, he never thought that one day he would get tired of it. Ye Bai sighed. The strongest is indeed boring. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 835. The white dog lay beside Ye Bai and rolled his eyes at him. Have you expressed similar sentiments before? Ye Bai patted the dog's head. What do you know, little dog, don't interrupt. White dog. Ever since he became the most powerful person, Ye Bai has been pretending. What's even more disgusting is that he can only pretend. So angry. But there is no way. Nowadays, everything below the 80th floor of the Eternal Tower has been controlled by the human race. Ye Bai took a nap and destroyed the 81st floor again. But that's it. The human race's conventional top combat power has been used. There are not many 9th level war gods running outside. Moreover, while arranging the 9th level god of war to guard the Eternal Tower, it is also necessary to draw out some people to make preparations. In case of any emergency, timely support is available. In Lan Lao's plan, they not only need to prepare forces, but also need regular rotation. Guarding every floor of the Eternal Tower is an extremely important matter. It is related to the rise and fall of the human race and cannot be taken lightly. With the current strength of the human race, guarding the 81st floor is already the limit. But the 82nd floor is a forbidden area for the Dragon Clan. Yebai's origin of greed was obtained from a golden dragon. And that golden dragon's soul is now in the power of nature, but its body still on the 82nd floor. Before setting off, Yebai said sternly, "This is for the great cause of the human race. It's definitely not for that little gold. How can a mere piece of gold make the most powerful man in the human race bend his back?" Yebai. I didn't know how to refute for a while. Yebai thought for a moment and asked seriously, "How about I put you back? White dog, the dog is still your dog." For a long time, he couldn't tell who was more doggy between him and Yebai. The Eternal Tower. Floor 82. After one sword blow, the world is pure. The monsters left behind by the most powerful demon god were swept away. Yebai didn't pay attention to these details and started looking for his own golden dragon. Soon, he made a new discovery. Huh. Yebai was a little surprised. The dragon clan's forbidden land was not destroyed. Strange. The tower that fell into the hands of the most powerful demon god was basically destroyed, and no one survived. There are still dragons alive in this 82nd floor? Yebai came outside the dragon clan's forbidden area, gently knocked on the door, and said politely, "Human Shura is visiting." No response. Yebai was sure that the dragon inside had heard it. But they just didn't respond. Yebai knew that he needed to use words that the dragons could understand to make them react. So Dracula was released. "Dracula? Brother, even if you close the door and let the dogs out, you should be stronger. The four heavenly kings of Shura space, Gabriel, Lucifer, Cain, Dracula. His Dracula is the best. How did you let him out?" There was no other way, so Dracula stepped forward and shouted at the top of his lungs. "Open the door. If you can hide inside, open the door for me. Do you know who is outside? He is the fourth brother of the most powerful human being, Nightmare, and the fourth brother of the most powerful human being, Wilhelm. The human race." The door opened. Dracula bowed in a gesture of gratitude, stretched out a hand. "Boss, please." Yebai glanced at him. "Just introduce me directly next time. There are so many powerful people in the front, why don't I, Shura, stand out?" Dracula couldn't help but smile, so he just said, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." The great elder of the dragon clan came up to him and spoke. "Fourth brother, no, I mean, Your Excellency Shura, the dragon clan and the human clan." Yebai interrupted the other party without politeness. "Putting other things aside, let's talk about why you can survive. Although the dragon clan is called the upper three clans, their real strength is not that strong. Among the upper three tribes, the dragon tribe is at the bottom. The most powerful demon god always takes action without regard for human feelings and leaves nothing to chance." Dragon God said quietly. While Dragon God was very confident, Yebai also had a bitter smile on his face. "Go in, the Dragon God is waiting for you." He led Yebai through a long and narrow passage to the depths. After appearing, Dragon God went straight to the topic without any nonsense or foreshadowing. "I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen such shameless people." Yebai shook his head. "I'm going to the upper world." Needless to say, the adult in his mouth must be Wilhelm. Dragon God. Even Dracula's mind can figure it out, there must be a hidden secret in it. Now that he has the final chance to save the world, he doesn't have to worry about traps or ambushes. Who would choose to kill themselves? At that time, everyone will fight 3 against 1, wouldn't it be beautiful? This should be the so-called Dragon God. I would like to ask if that adult is still in this world. Yebai wished that the most powerful demon god would ambush him. The Dragon God's voice stopped abruptly. "But the problem is, they really survived. You have something to tell me." The great elder hesitated again and again, sighed heavily, and turned around to lead the way for Yebai. Entering the secret room, a pair of golden eyes appeared across from Yebai. Once you kill the most powerful demon god, this world will also be destroyed, and all the creatures in this world will be buried with him. The title dragon god is very rare. Dragons. Yebai was very angry and took the initiative to walk in. The great elder of the dragon clan said bravely. You are not a creature of this world. This, okay. He looked at Yebai in disbelief and blurted out. Yebai added. Generally speaking, the top experts of each clan call themselves ancestors. Yebai was a little surprised. Unspeakable trouble. He is confident. The second brother can return to this world at any time. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 836. Are you not a creature of this world? Hearing what Dragon God said, Yebai felt a little funny. Well said, don't say it next time. This is Yebai's biggest secret, a secret even greater than SSS level talent. Xiaoao knows, or in other words, Xiaoao knows part of it. Even Yebai's time travel may be related to Xiaoao. Even so, Xiaoao behaved very calmly. The world is big enough to accommodate you. It was the sentence that made Yebai completely let go. But when everything settled, Yebai realized that things were far from as simple as imagined. He felt vaguely uneasy about this in his heart, but he couldn't express it to others. Xiaoao has always kept silent about this matter. Until Yebai met his second brother in the long river of time. Wilhen reminded Yebai in a very direct way that there was something wrong with his life experience. This method is very second brother. But after that meeting, the more Yebai thought about it, the more he felt that something was not quite right. First of all, the way of meeting was very strange. Wilhen had 10,000 ways to contact Yebai, but he chose the most troublesome one. This is very unmarked. Secondly, there is the topic of the meeting. Wilhen talked a lot about this world, things in the upper world, the inevitability of the most powerful demon god, destiny. The strongest man in the human race, who fights to the death and refuses to retreat, may still not be able to escape the shackles of fate, and is still a slave to fate. If the most powerful demon god is the embodiment of this world's resistance to the upper world. So according to this idea, the so-called strongest man of the human race, the brave man who slays the dragon, is actually the suppression of this world by the upper world. Yebai figured this out. But what he never figured out was, what does this have to do with himself? Why did Wilhen talk a lot and finally got around to Yebai's origin? Until Yebai met the Dragon God. Dragon God didn't waste any time and directly gave the most crucial information. The most powerful demon cannot die. When he dies, this world will die, and all the creatures in this world will be buried with him. According to the logic of the Dragon God from the beginning, as long as the most powerful human race knows this information, he will never kill the most powerful demon god. This is a dead end. Why does the most powerful human being want to kill the most powerful demon? Isn't it just to protect the human race and protect the things you cherish? If you kill the most powerful demon, everything will be destroyed and everything will be meaningless. The Dragon God had made countless calculations, but failed to calculate one thing: the most powerful man of the human race in front of him was not a creature of this world at all. No, no, no. The Dragon God fell into madness. How could you not be a creature of this world? Where is the original most powerful seed? Who tampered with it? How did you come here? It's so noisy. Yebai felt that this guy was a bit noisy. There are too many questions and too few answers. Yebai needs to think. Thunder and lightning spread from Yebai's feet, sealing off the entire space to prevent the Dragon God from escaping. Yabai still has many questions to ask. The mark of the strongest. Dragon God's eyes were filled with turmoil, and he said in shock. Are you really the most powerful seed? Yabai. He didn't expect that the other party would still doubt his true identity. First, let's talk about the relationship between the most powerful demon god and this world. The dragon god repeated it again. Yabai discovered that this guy didn't know much, and he didn't even have a deep understanding like Wuhan. The dragon god is a being who survived from the previous era. Although he was integrated into the most powerful demon god, he became an exception. Yabai smiled bitterly. Beings that are not from this world cannot merge with the eternal fragments. There is a possibility that you are actually a living being in this world, otherwise you would not be able to integrate the fragments of the eternal origin, let alone control the most powerful mark. Yabai told his reasons. As for whether all living creatures in this world will perish together. The pensive Yabai looked at the dragon god who was hesitant to speak and asked. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. When he awakened, he was not an SSS level talent, Yabai remembered it clearly. Yabai sighed, feeling complicated. Just. If that's the case, things would be a little bit tricky. The dragon god was spat out. Yabai had no doubts about this matter. It's really impossible. Therefore, what the other party said was half truth and half false, and Yabai could only use it as a reference, and he was doubtful. There is nothing wrong with you, but the upper world made us mistakenly think that there is something wrong with you. No matter what your memory of the past is, it may be forged, and you are still a living being in this world. I didn't fuse the eternal origin fragments at the beginning. There are 2 more updates, but they will be late. I can't code until I come back from doing errands. Yabai didn't know. Helping the most powerful demon god to do things, or in other words, running for his own life. Your explanation is indeed a possibility, but unfortunately it is wrong. When the most powerful demon dies, this world dies. If Yabai wastes some time to verify, the answer can be easily obtained. It is difficult for the other party to fake this kind of thing. The dragon god continued to be tough. The dragon god was dissatisfied. Why? I know a group of people who are best at making the impossible possible. Yabai sighed, feeling helpless. Just like a being like Sun Li, the most powerful demon devoured him but did not digest him. I know a man who never lies. Good guess, don't guess next time. Anything else you want to say? Don't wait, the old thief in the world is here to stay. Dragon God nodded, and after receiving permission, he quickly said. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 837. Impossible. The most powerful human race could not understand these 3 words at all. From nightmare to traceless to carefree, nothing is impossible in front of them. Even the most powerful demon gods, they dare to try to kill them. Try and die. The problem happens to arise here. If the most powerful human race kills the most powerful demon god is a destined fate, what should we do? If this grand performance is just a farce, how will it end? Yabai rubbed his temples and felt a headache. It's a bit messy, let's straighten it out again. Yabai cleared away all the distracting thoughts and organized his thoughts again. We directly press the fast forward button. What will happen if we directly fast forward to the finale of The Strongest Demon? Dragon God said, of course. Shut up. Yabai glanced at Dragon God coldly, his eyes were cold, as if looking at a dead person. I'm not talking to you. Dragon God. If it weren't for the restraint of thunder and lightning, coupled with the suppression of this side of the world, his strength would not be as strong as before. The Dragon God is going to have a battle with Shura. Fortunately, he is an angel from the Dragon tribe, the upper 3 tribes. If you can't bear it, keep on bearing it. While the Dragon God was patient, He couldn't help but be curious, who was Shura talking to? Is there any existence in this world that is not subject to any restrictions, can enter and exit any place at will, and is qualified to communicate with Yabai on this matter? There are not many existences that meet so many restrictions. A white horse suddenly broke into the secret room and appeared in front of Yabai. The moment Beiju appeared, the dragon god's pupils revealed an emotion called greed. Moved. Yabai's greedy origin has stirred up SSS level talent. If he could master this talent, the dragon god could become the strongest being in the world. Why is the most powerful person in the human race sweeping the world and becoming invincible in the world? It's because of the SSS level talent and the fragments of eternal origin. Idiot. Seeing the dragon god's reaction, Yabai sneered. It's not that you are invincible because of your SSS level talent. It's because you are invincible that you have SSS level talent. Can't you even understand this? Did Xueju become the leader of the human race because of dreams come true? No, even without the awakening talent money, Xueju is the leader among his peers, and even Huoda has to listen to Xueju. 4 words are enough to evaluate Xueju. The benevolent are invincible. Whether he has SSS level talent or not, or whether he has the mark of the strongest, will not affect Xueju's invincibility. Not to mention Wuhan. Wuhan, who went to the upper world, did not have SSS level talents, nor did he have the mark of the strongest. In 3 years, he had fought his way through the upper world and re-walked the path to becoming the most powerful. Xiaoao is more straightforward. He separated himself from the origin of the world, merged his SSS level talent with the origin of the world, and completely became immortal. Then what? After one night, the human race was free and back to being the strongest. Whether such a being has SSS level talent or not is the same thing. With a ready-made example in front of him, Dragon God was speechless and didn't know what to say. After a long while, Dragon God held back a sentence. How about you? Yabai. He stepped forward and gave the old dragon a good beating. How many times have I told you, shut up? You can't understand people, can you? Baiju's eyes revealed contempt. It glanced at the white dog in the corner with a straightforward expression. That's it? This is the strongest seed you chose? People's insightful eyes also have something to say. Don't look at Shura chips, the eye of insight isn't much better either. Both directions went to belong to yes. After beating the dragon god, Yabai felt refreshed and continued the previous topic. All creatures in this world will die, Nightmare will die, Wuhan will die, and Yingju will die. Yabai asked the last question. Baiju did not answer Yabai's question. If Yabai guessed correctly, the hope of killing the most powerful demon was in Yabai's hands. Yabai will not die either. There is another one, it's really late, don't wait, the old thief in the underworld will save it. What happens after the death of the most powerful demon? On the back of the white colt, a grumpy old pigeon replied. He will die. What will be the consequences of the destruction of this world? The extreme speed allows it to appear anywhere freely, even going up against the long river of time. If it were someone else who died together with the most powerful demon, they might still hesitate. The old pigeon's eyes glowed red and he said coldly. The most powerful demon is dead and this world is destroyed. Who is the biggest winner and the biggest beneficiary? The upper world is eternal. That is to say. After getting along for a long time, Yabai also understood Baiju's abilities. As for whether there will be a response, that's another question. Neither is he. Because, he is not a creature of this world, he will not be implicated, and he can still live well. It's everywhere. If everything goes well and the strongest 9 generations of humans kill the strongest demon, what will happen? At any time, if you call Baiju in any way, the other party can hear it. Then, the most powerful demon will really die. Because he is not a living being in this world. If the ninth generation of the most powerful human beings really risked their lives and fought to the death with the most powerful demon god, one after another would die. The final executioner was Yabai. Upper bound. Yabai asked further. Listening to Lao Ji's answer, Yabai fell into silence. This world will be destroyed. In this matter, Yabai didn't have much to hesitate. Xiaoao will not die. Yabai was not surprised that Baiju appeared here. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 838. There is a very simple way to find the person behind this. See who makes the most profit, whoever picks the last peach, who is the mastermind behind the scenes. Not also. If you think of the upper world as a being, a conscious being, what does it want? The instinct of life is to want to continue. This is normal. As an expert in fear of death, Yabai has a deep understanding of this. This world has given birth to the most powerful demon god. What is the result? Once the most powerful demon god is completely freed from his bondage, this world will be destroyed, and the upper world will also be destroyed. In order to survive, the most powerful demon must die. If we follow this path. Yabai discovered something that was extremely scary when he thought about it. Xiaoao is the origin of the upper world. Or rather, it was. Today's butterfly is the origin of the upper world. But what does this mean? The moment the Eternal Tower was created, the moment the upper world communicated with this world, the world origin of the upper world came to the Eternal Tower. What is it here for? Help yourself. In other words, regardless of whether Xiaoao, the third generation of the strongest human race, thinks Xiaoao Mendi or Diamond Xiaoao, the end result is unchanged. The origin of the upper world was originally about to fight to the death with the most powerful demon. Only by killing the most powerful demon can the upper world continue. As for life and death in this world, the upper world doesn't care. Yabai smiled sadly. Before, when he didn't know this, Yabai didn't think much about it. Now, setting my sights higher, the taste of the whole thing instantly changed. Xiaoao itself is related to the upper world. Yabai's appearance is also related to Xiaoao. In other words, Xiaoao may also be a pawn in the whole chess game at a certain time. If that's the case, something would explain it. Xiaoao never talked to Yabai about his life experience. Even when Yabai took the initiative to bring it up, Xiaoao did not continue to talk about this topic. Secondly, after that battle, Xiaoao did not leave the abyss of the strongest. If you want to guard the abyss of the strongest, Xiaoao has more flexible options. He can withdraw first, let the butterfly help him heal his injuries, and then return to the abyss of power. Xiaoao didn't do this. He stayed directly in the supreme abyss. In Xiaoao's view, this is the best and only choice. Yabai's eyes were slightly stern. Would it be dangerous for the third brother to leave the abyss of the strongest? This matter, press it down for now. Yabai's current strength is not able to help Xiaoao solve the problem. He still has a lot of things to resolve. Finally, and most importantly, Xiaoao didn't give all the strongest marks to Yabai. He is not the strongest yet. What does this matter mean? Yabai didn't know. However, there must be a reason for Xiaoao to do this. Yabai felt that a puzzle had appeared in front of him. He was clearly so close to the answer, but he could not touch the answer. If you keep cutting, it will become messy. The grumpy old pigeon did not continue to speak, but left Yabai to think alone. Everything Wilhen knew, he told Yabai. Wilhen is not sure about the rest and needs time to explore. After all, Wilhen suspected that his appearance was also related to the upper world. There is no way, he is too strong. It's so strong that it's beyond the realm of monsters and cannot be explained by common sense. When something goes wrong, there must be a monster. The strongest human race, Everyone has their own problems to solve. Yabai took a long breath and said helplessly. It's time to meet the third brother. It's almost 4 o'clock. I'm too sleepy and can't stand it anymore, so I fall asleep. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 839. The trouble should end it? If you want to find out what all this is about, it's faster to ask Xiaoao directly. In other words, Xiaoao has a way to make Yabai figure it out. As for why Yabai was not told the truth 3 years ago, there could be many reasons. On the one hand, Yabai was still very weak. On the other hand, the time has not yet come. Xiaoao also has his own troubles and problems to solve. Xiaoao can't do anything for Yabai until he solves his own problems. Of course, there is another possibility, and Xiaoao doesn't know the answer. No matter what the situation is, for Yabai, it is beneficial and harmless to go and see Xiaoao. After leaving the secret room, Yabai glanced at the many dragons in the forbidden area. You have to deal with the monsters on this level yourself. After leaving these words, Yabai turned and left. Before leaving, I didn't forget to take my golden dragon with me. Although this body has been cold for many years. But, gained weight. That's right. A golden corpse, fatter and heavier. I don't know how the elders of the dragon clan take care of themselves, but they are just fat. Of course Yabai didn't care about these details. Just gold, does the strongest person from other races care? I care, I really care. Yabai casually hit the dog's head and slandered me. You want to bribe me with just 2,468.44 kilograms of extra gold? You are looking down on me, Shura. Yabai left, and of course the dragon god was taken away by him. There is no room for negotiation on this matter. Yabai didn't intend to discuss it with the dragon god. After leaving the 82nd floor, Yabai did not leave in a hurry, but returned to the 99th floor first. He informed Lao Lan and others that he might have to leave for a while. At the same time, he also took the time to visit his cheap apprentice Yeju. Yeju can now freely enter and leave the Eternal Tower, and his own strength has touched the ceiling. If he takes one more step forward, he can become the god of war. But Yeju couldn't cross that line. This line is extremely difficult for anyone. Seeing his apprentice like this, Yabai couldn't help but sigh. When I made the breakthrough back then, I didn't feel any difficulty. Looking back now, I still vividly remember it, as if it happened a few days ago. Is there a possibility that the breakthrough was really made a few days ago? Yabai rolled his eyes and ignored the disdainful complaints. That's all. Regarding Yeju's cultivation, Yabai didn't have anything more to offer. He can help his apprentice directly become the god of war. The price is, I can't take another step forward in this life. For Yeju, of course he could not accept such a thing. If he wants to cross over, he can only rely on himself. Of course, Yabai also asked Yeju to give Xuemeng more guidance in his spare time and teach him how to master the sword. Wu Jian. Yeju was a little surprised and asked. Is it hard? Although he practiced diligently in the past 3 years, he also figured out 30 or 50 sword moves in his spare time. Yeju really doesn't understand, what's so difficult about this? Regarding Yeju's question, Yabai gave an enigmatic answer. Everyone climbs a different mountain. Yeju immediately entered the state of Dream Master. I understand. There was nothing Yabai could do about this apprentice who loved to think. Just realize it. Realize it hard. In addition to these, Yabai also took time to visit a nursing home. Make sure these two guys don't fight while you're away. If Yabai disappears again, the top combat power of the human race can be regarded as somewhat guaranteed. There wasn't much they needed to do, they just needed to support themselves until Wuhan arrived. In fact, as long as Wuhan wants, he can appear anywhere with Beiju at any time. After arranging everything properly, Ye Bai embarked on the journey. He entered the dreamland and did what he should do just like before. The child clapped his hands happily. Brush. The child, who had grown into a young man, heard that Ye Bai was coming to the abyss. Ye Bai continued. After thinking about it, it was faster to travel this way, so Ye Bai simply gave up resistance. Layers of stone kept falling off, revealing the Taoist appearance. Third brother, do you know where I come from? Shock. He did this to the most powerful person in the human race, and it actually made Shuro furious. Ye Bai Shidiao said. The Taoist said calmly. Ye Bai didn't waste time, tidied up his appearance a little, and shouted in one direction. That's good, don't help me next time. Good. The Taoist nodded, then shook his head. The Taoist glanced at him and said casually. You can choose. So angry. Brother, I have some questions. My second brother asked me about where I come from. A butterfly slowly flew out and finally fell into Ye Bai's palm. Let me help you. The hymn in Xiao Ao's mouth refers to the origin of the upper world. It can take you back. Ye Bai sighed, wondering why he always encountered such things. That's the butterfly. The stone sculpture shook slightly, but did not speak. Ye Bai left the dream space, and a giant black hand appeared in front of him and pinched him. Everyone is stronger than him, and he still can't defeat them. No, but not completely. Brother, are you coming over? Then. I am planning to come to the abyss of the strongest. There are some things that may not be convenient to talk about here. He found you. The next second, Ye Bai appeared outside the strong abyss. If Ye Bai wanted to resist, this hand would not be able to cause any harm to him. The next moment. Online games, only I can see hidden information. Author, Minjai Old Thief. Chapter 840. You can choose. Looking at the petrified butterfly in his palm, Ye Bai sighed softly. In fact, this has been the case from the moment he awakened his talent. Ye Bai always had a choice. He can choose not to be a powerful seed, he can choose not to fight against the powerful demon god, he can choose to go back or not. The era of Ye Bai's rise was different from the situation 100 years ago. 100 years ago, the human race was on the verge of extinction and could be destroyed at any time. The human race has no choice. Nightmare has no choice, Wuhan has no choice, Xiao Ao has no choice. Ye Bai is different. The human race has fought hard for the past 100 years, and it has changed from not being able to choose to being able to choose. People die on the battlefield so that no one will die later. It's that simple. Ye Bai put away the butterfly and watched the Taoist turn to stone again. Without saying anything, he saluted and turned to leave. Xiao Ao should have said everything he knew and could say. Ye Bai needs to find the remaining answers by himself. The connection between Xiao Ao and the origin of the upper world is too deep, and it will take some time to cut off this connection. As for Ye Bai, Xiao Ao can't get involved too much. Otherwise, it would have both advantages and disadvantages to involve the origin of the world in the upper world. No one can help Ye Bai in this matter. He can only rely on himself. Fortunately, now Ye Bai can complete the last part of the journey on his own. He left the abyss. Not far away, a butterfly landed on Ye Bai's shoulder. Its wings flapped slightly, as if it wanted to say something. He wanted to persuade Ye Bai or promise something to Ye Bai. Finally, the butterfly flapped its wings. Everyone you care about will survive. This is the promise of the origin of the upper world. He valued Ye Bai very much, and knew better than anyone else that among all the strongest people, Ye Bai might not be the strongest, or even the weakest. However, Yabai is the most special one. He is not a creature of this world and has the best chance of killing the most powerful demon. Anyone can cause trouble, but not Yabai. This is a promise and a threat to the origin of the upper world. If Yabai disobeys the destiny, the final result will be death. Many people will die. There are many people Yabai cares about. Yabai narrowed his eyes slightly, flashing with disdain. Are you threatening me? I am protected by 3 powerful men, are you threatening me? Even I myself am the strongest of the human race. If you tell me this kind of background, the most powerful demon will tremble. Are you threatening me? Yabai glanced coldly at the butterfly on his shoulder and said coldly. Don't make me kill you now. The butterfly glanced at Yabai indifferently and flew away silently. This negotiation completely collapsed. The white dog on the side. After a while, Baigo asked timidly. Brother, are you so brave now? I admit, I have spoken a bit loudly over the years. It couldn't figure it out even if it tried to break the dog's mind. Why is Shura so brave? Yabai, who has not yet become a truly powerful person, dares to threaten Butterfly. That is the origin of the world in the upper realm, and it also has the SSS level talent. My heart is happy. I can't kill it. Yabai chuckled softly. But I can kill myself. Ah, this. With Yabai dead, the confrontation between the human race and the most powerful demon god had completely failed. The day the most powerful demon succeeds is the moment the upper world is destroyed. The origin of the world in the upper realm will also be destroyed along with it. Is there something wrong somewhere? Why? Eternal Core City. The whole thing seemed outrageous. He put half a copper coin here with me. Now is not the time to break through. The human race has not yet entered the Eternal Tower. Most of the NPCs here have their own lives. They come from all races and escaped the last catastrophe of the world with the help of the Eternal Tower. Master Fool stood there, staring blankly at the copper coin in his palm, which looked like a sculpture. But if you think about it carefully, since it is Shura, it makes sense. This is not my half copper coin. After a moment of silence, Baigo could only give a pertinent evaluation. Yang Yi observed for a while and asked. To kill Yabai is to kill the upper realm. That's why Yabai said just now, don't force me to kill you now. As expected of you. Oh. Soon, Yang Yi felt that something was wrong. What? Yang Yi was a little surprised and asked. Looking at the copper coin in his palm, Master Fool fell silent. No matter what he chooses, he will definitely come back. Shura's sword was placed around his neck. Walking in the Eternal Core City, Master Fool said casually. Yang Yi had nothing to say about his predecessor Taling and rolled his eyes silently. Look at how happy you are. I already thought something was wrong between you two. Half a copper coin appeared on Master Fool's fingertips, rolling between his fingers. Master Fool said with astonishment. The traceless sword is placed on the enemy's neck. White dog. Of course, she didn't dare to say this. With a flick, the half copper coin flew into the sky and fell into the palm of his hand. The two of them were walking on the street, but no one around them could notice their presence. Well, it's mainly because I'm afraid that some petty human race's strongest will find excuses for revenge when he comes back. It's the same as threatening others with their lives.